Hello, Kelly Bear here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something that I haven't done for a while, and that is a good old-fashioned deck haul. I got a little bit of gift money for Christmas, and I decided to spend some of that on tarot decks, as those of us in this sphere are inclined to do, I guess. So there are also two decks that were very kindly gifted to me, which I'll be sharing as well. So all in all, I have 5 decks to show you. 3 that I have bought myself, well, that were bought with gift money, so they are also technically gifts, but I got to choose them. And then the other 2 were very unexpected out of the blue gifts. So yeah, 5 decks. And then what I wanted to do was just show you these. By the way, these have all already been opened, they've been shuffled, they've been played with. I've read a little bit of some of the books. So these are not sort of unboxings, first impressions, anything like that. It's just a good old-fashioned haul. And then what I will do is show you some of the card pulls that I've done with them, and just to see how they sort of read, some of them together, see how they work together, how they look aesthetically, like paired up. And then I have also got the 3 main tarot decks that I used for my solar return spread for my birthday in 2024, January 2024. So I'm just wrapping that all up in my tarot journal. And so because I've got those out, I thought we could look at the new decks that I've got and see how they jive with these other decks, just aesthetically, again, pairing up. So it's a haul and a little bit of like playing with pairs kind of thing. It's a combo. So let's just get stuck in. So the first one that I picked up was one that I wasn't sure I'd ever get, to be honest. I remember Tom Benjamin showing this, and I kind of liked it, but there was cards that I wasn't sure about. Sorry, it is the Unfolding Path Tarot by Athena Noctua. I believe she's a UK artist. Or is that the writer? I don't know. They do that guidebook by Athena Noctua, but who does the artwork? Oh, I think she has done as well, maybe. Does it say cover design, cover illustration? No, yeah, I think she did the artwork as well. So the author and the artist for the deck. And I sort of hummed and hawed over it, and I was like, do you know what? I've got the 5th Spirit Tarot. I think I'm good, because it kind of scratches a lot of those itches for me. But then I saw Liz at West Star Tarot, good old Liz, combined my, can I speak? Oh, I need to slow my roll, my goodness. Apologies, Liz. My little foggy brain just combined West Star and Liz and called you Wes. Apologies. I'm not going to stop and start the video again, because I'm kind of on a roll. It's a wonky roll, but it is a roll. So yeah, the lovely Liz was speaking. She speaks about this deck quite a bit on her channel, but she was just talking about this in her, was it her top 10 decks or her top 5 decks of 2024? It was like a year wrap up sort of video, and she just really spoke so I think it was her most used decks of 2024, if I'm remembering correctly, which is, my memory can't be trusted these days, I think. And I was just so, get on with it, Kel, show the cards, eh? And she sort of really won me round on this. So I was like, okay, well, I got a little, I mean, the cardstock is trash. I hate the cardstock. It's this, I think it's the same cardstock as the 5th Spirit, but I love the 5th Spirit. I work with it all the time. I've sort of made my peace with it. Would I like it to be on better cardstock? Yes, but it's not. I love the 5th Spirit so much that I just deal with it. Did I just say that? I can't even remember what I just said. Holy moly. Brain fog, folks. It's a thing. But yeah, and actually I sort of really started to enjoy this sort of water, I think it's watercolour. Like here you can see the texture of the watercolour paper. Here we have the Page of Pentacles, and it looks like they have vitiligo, so we've got some vitiligo representation there. It's just really, it's very contemporary, it's very inclusive, it's very obviously, you know, Smith Waite, but without it completely replicating Pixie's artwork. So, you know, 9 of Swords here, instead of in a bed, they are crouched over. What I think is quite interesting now that I'm looking at it is it looks like there's been black paint splatters over the top of the artwork, which sort of feels like this like dark cloud, this darkness sort of glomming onto this person in the depths of despair, which is quite an interesting way of like finishing off the painting, which I quite like. I love a lot of the like faces and features and expressions in the I mean, look at his little face. Page of Cups. Isn't it nice to see an older page as well? Because a page doesn't necessarily, I mean, I know traditionally, like in old school tarot sort of style readings, people would say, well, the page is a child or a teenager, and the knight is someone sort of younger, and they're like sort of 20s and a bit more zippy, maybe 20s, 30s, you know, and so on and so forth. And you get to the king and the queen, and like, they're like older people. But actually, page, if you think about it as a stage in a process, you're constantly circling back round. And so you can circle back round and start something anew. You know, maybe this person has not long retired and is starting something new. A new adventure. Retirement is a new adventure. I do like this, like mask like situation going across the seven of swords. It does give me Zorro vibes, Mask of Zorro vibes a little bit, but he looks cheeky, right? He doesn't look so malicious as some interpretations of this card, which I like, because I like to see the seven more as neutral, and then there's the context that flavors it, right? The Two of Pentacles. Love. So yeah, I quite like that this woman is sort of in the water. I think that's quite an interesting take. And there is a little doggy. Oh, the little face. So yeah, and I really like just even like the way that this sword is being proffered. It's almost like they're making it float or spin in the palm of their hands. It's just, there's a lot of dynamism and movement in the artwork, which works for watercolor. Watercolor is a very dynamic medium to work in. For those of you that have worked in it, you will know it's quite a skill, one that I have definitely not mastered, but do enjoy, you know, having a go at it. Queen of Cups. So yeah, I've actually quite enjoyed it. This is one of the ones that Liz showed that I really enjoyed, this sort of decision-making face. For some reason, this really makes me think of Claire Danes in My So-Called Life, even though her hair colour is technically wrong for the character. She just has a bit of that vibe. She has an Angela vibe about her face. Anyone else agree? I love this Five of Wands, and it's forming the pentagram. This one's a bit over the top, but you know, it's a bit melodramatic, which sometimes I think the Ten of Swords can be. I sometimes call it the melodrama card, because a lot of the times, sometimes it is, yeah, shit's real bad, but sometimes it's like you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Again, context, right? So yeah, I really enjoy this. I have a lot of friends that work in performance art and cabaret and burlesque and circus. So seeing someone, you know, with I guess it's almost a bit like the aerial hoop and the silks here, it just puts me in mind of people that I know, people in my life. So yeah, I really enjoy the Fool being this kid, actually. I'm not always a fan of like kids in decks. I don't know, because they can sometimes really come off creepy unless you're trying to make them look creepy, which is fine. Like the Bohemian Gothic Tarot, for example. But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I just watched too many horror films over the years, and sort of, so when you see kids in horror films, a lot of the time they're coded as being creepy. I don't find all children creepy, by the way. I just mean they sometimes tend to look that way in decks. So yeah, I think it's a really beautiful deck. There are some cards that I'm less enamoured by, some cards that I really love, but I think that's the case for pretty much any deck. Oh, this Lovers is quite sweet. So yeah, I've been enjoying sort of having a little poodle through that. I haven't read much of the book so far, but what I have read of it felt very sort of much and muchness when it comes to sort of Smith-Waite meanings. So, you know, that's fine. Do with it what you will. The next one that I got, now another one. This was another one that Tom Benjamin shared on his channel, and I was like, oh, I do like that. And it is a pip deck, so I'm like even more tempted. And then it fell out of my head. I forgot about it because at the time, you know, it was before Christmas. I can't remember when this deck came out. And then Kellyanne Maddox did a little, like, I think it was like a reel on her Instagram showing it. I think it was a reel. I don't think it was a YouTube video. And I was like, oh yeah, this deck. And it just made me all excited about it again. And I was like, yoink. And it's the Modern Goth Tarot. And honestly, again, the cardstock, trash. Don't love the cardstock. What is it with the cardstock lately, guys? Come on, publishers, sort it out. But yeah, I feel like the backs don't match the front. Like, at least if there's going to be this blue colour, make it a blue a bit. I guess it needs to be more like this blue and more muted. Or the texture needs to be the same as the artwork. So it just feels a little incongruous. But I do like the backs. I just feel like they don't match. Did I show the backs of the Unfolding Path? Hang on, I think I did not. It's pretty. It's very pretty. Not pretty. It's reversible as well. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I do like it when they're like succinct, like a little box, and it all just fits in like neat. And you've got this one is a bit different because you've got this, like, I don't like these inserts because they just get like ruined and they break, and then so like realistically I will make a bag for this one. But I love the backs, I love the fronts, but I just feel like they don't go, but it's fine, like it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I really, really love this. Again, this has been shuffled because I've been playing with it last night and the day before. I love the, there's this real sort of cream colour background rather than an off-white or a white. Let's see if we can move the arm. Just trying to get the light in the right position. It's fairly inclusive and diverse. Lots of really cool goth folks. And it was made by goths, right? So that's probably why it feels authentic. See, it's Pippi. So these are the wands. I don't know if you can see, but I was having a good look in last night at like what was inside each of the globes of the wands, and this looks like, like the old filament light bulbs. It looks like a little light bulb filament in each one, like it's an actual light bulb, which I thought was cool. Coins. So can you see how they have different things in them, which I think is quite cool if you wanted to sort of read into that as well. And do you know what? It's so funny going through this deck. I see so many people that I like know, as in like people, they look like people that I know in this deck. So this one is one that does that for me. This one looks like someone I know who is like for hella goth. Like, honestly, if he had locks, it would look so much like someone I know. This looks like someone I know. Where's the other one? There's one that looks like my friend Emmy as well. Where is it? I'll see if I can find it. It's really funny. Like, I was going, I know you. Hang on. Where is it? No. This one kind of looks like someone I know who's a performer that I know. This one looks like someone I know from roller skating. It's really cool. This one looks like someone I know. This one either looks like someone I know. I wonder if, actually, I'm going to say, I don't know if she watches, I think she watches my video, but Alison, if you're watching, this is so you. Hang on, let me see. This looks like someone I know so much. Like, with the they don't dress like this anymore. This is going back to like the late 90s. With the cyber locks. Again, like, gotta love a death hawk, right? Well, like it's not been back combed up, but that's an option. I used to have my hair like this for a while. Some of you might remember when I had it in when I had this channel, I've had hair like this. Yeah, so many people. So yeah, again, like, I love it. Anyway, I've just gone through it really quickly. I'm not very good at showing them, am I? Here we have cups. Again, we've got like these little hands holding hearts and dots. I don't know what the dots. There's lots of dots that turn up in. And I've only read a couple of the entries in the book. I've only been reading the court cards so far. So yeah, I love the colours. I love that we've got like a more sort of representational, like goth element here. Like we've got people of all skin tones and kind of sizes and abilities. Not so much, I don't see any elder goths in here. I'd like to have seen some, I mean, I guess this person looks like they could be in their 40s maybe, but again, like, where are OG goths who are like going to be like in their like, wow, so 50s and 60s at this point? I don't know, we don't see any of those, but anyway, yeah, so super enjoying that, and I love that it is a pippy deck and that I can see people that I know in it, and just sort of, yeah, just like looking and seeing like, I'd wear that, I've got something like that, I've worn something like that, you know, going through the day. Oh, good times. Where does the time go? Oh dear. I think my goth club nights are over, to be honest. Okay, and then the third deck that I bought with some gift money was this bad boy, the Wild Unknown Alchemy Oracle deck and guidebook, as they call them. They don't seem to put Oracle on the box for these. This and the archetypes. Now, I remember when this came out, this came out after the Archetypes deck, which I also have. I have the original large standard size, and then I have the mini one in a tin, which I am obsessed with. I love the mini one. It's perfect. And I wasn't sure when I first saw this when it came out. And then I can't remember who it was. Who was it? I watched a video. God, who was it? My memory. And it sort of piqued my interest a bit more. And I was like, do you know what? I'll put it on the wish list, and if it ever pops up at a decent price somewhere, I'll give it, or if I'm feeling a little flush, you know, because it's not a cheap deck as mass market goes. And yeah, it came up at a good price, and I was feeling a bit flush, so I ended up purchasing it. And I really wasn't sure how it was going to go, but I thought I'd give it a go. I do like these books that Kim Krans does, and immediately, as soon as I started reading it, I've read all of the intro stuff and a couple of the card entries. But this whole bit for Ms. Parsons with love, and then this whole thing about Kim Krans talking about her art teacher, Ms. Parsons, and here we have Jean Parsons. This is an actual photo of her, and she sounded like such an interesting woman and was obviously an incredibly powerful influence on Kim, and just the way she wrote about it was so beautiful. So I was like, okay, I'm in like Flynn. And then I just sort of, over the next 2 or 3 nights, would read a little bit of all the intro information, and then another evening I read through all the different card reading options that Kim offers, which look really interesting because of this sort of hexagonal shape. The cards interlock really nicely. Here, the rose that gives the bees honey, a 7-card reading. Like, how lovely is this? And I was just sort of blown away, actually, by the way that it was written. It was quite beautiful, and I really like the alchemy deck. I really do. Not the alchemy, sorry, the archetype deck. I really love it, and I genuinely thought that I would prefer the archetype deck over this one, but I wanted to kind of have the set and see how it felt to like work with them. I already am completely sort of enchanted by this deck. I've looked through all the cards. I've done the usual thing of, like, you know, I do this thing where I make 4 piles. I like it, and I really like it, so that's 2 piles. I like it, I really like it. I'm indifferent to it, it's like meh. And then there's I don't like it, and actually a good portion of them were in the first 2 piles of like I like it and I really like it. So you know, if you're familiar with the archetypes deck, you're going to be sort of familiar with this one when it comes to the style. This does feel like it's a little bit more painterly than the archetypes. It feels like there's a little less collage involved. which is fine. I just like Kim Kranz's art. Let's move this again. So I have to keep moving it depending on the cardstock of the deck and then what the sun is doing outside. It's all clouds keep moving, so the light is very changeable today. Apologies. But yeah, I mean, look at this one. And it has suits, as it were, much like the archetype deck. Sort of they're divided into different sections. But I just really love the concept of it. I find it fascinating, and I really can't wait to have get stuck in with it, basically. I'm interested to figure out how I want to incorporate it into my practice, much like I do with the alchemy oracle, and how I'm going to work with them together. So that's gonna be fun. I'm just gonna also grab, because I did do, I took a moment in an evening this week and I drew a card, the first card from my first card draw from this deck. So I will show you what it was. I've just got it over here. Oh, did you hear that click? That was my back. And it was winter, which feels very appropriate because that is the season that we are in. And I've been thinking a lot about what winter means when it comes to being a human being. Here in, the UK, it feels very much chilly. It's been very cold even right now. It's very frosty outside, to the point where I got up this morning and I thought it had been snowing because all of the rooftops were so thick with white frost. And for me, I've come to the conclusion, the realization generally over the last year or two that, winter for me, especially when it comes to like New Year or Gregorian New Year, I'm not interested in all this gung-ho New Year, new me stuff. It's not the right time to be starting stuff new. For me, it's more about turning inwards, resting, taking some time out, even taking a break from magical work. And that was very much inspired by Corey Hutchins of New World Witchery, talking about the witch's rest. So between sort of the beginning of the year and just up to my birthday, there's no magical practice for me. There's even very little divination work. It's all very just taking some time out, resting not just my body and my mind, but like my spiritual being, I guess, if you want to put a thing on it, label it in a way. The witch's rest. But give your magic wand and your cauldron a little break. I don't know. And so the fact that this came up when it's something I've been contemplating and journaling and talking about with people in my life, I just thought that it was the perfect card to get first in this deck. So yeah, I'm super duper excited to work with this. It's interesting because I think my friend Tegan of Cosmic Creeper's Tube, I think she got rid of her copy of this, I believe, if I remember correctly, didn't you, T? If she's watching, I can ask her later. I'll message her. But where's the other? Oh, there it is. There's the box. Actually, do you know what? I'm not going to put it all away because we're going to have a play with the cards, and I'm going to have to keep getting them out. I'll keep the book out as well, isn't it? I mean, it's just over packaging, isn't it? But it is very pretty, so I can see why they do it. But I wish they didn't use quite so much packaging. I am glad that this does come in a hexagonal shaped box. You can keep them separate. I am really hoping, I don't know if this one is as popular as the alchemy one. I keep calling it bums, the archetype one. But I am like praying and hoping and wishing that they make a mini in a tin version of this as well, because I will buy it immediately. And then, this will be the copy that I do. What I do with the archetype deck is, if I've got a card for the month, week, month, what have you, or the season, it goes up like this. And then the little one is the one that I shuffle and sort of work with. And then I have the large guidebook that sort of is a bit easier, or a lot easier on the eyes than the mini one. But the mini one is there should you want to take the deck out with you in its little tin. So it's all gravy. So yeah, anyway, we're 24 minutes in and I'm chatting bobbins. So presents, unexpected gifts that I did not buy for myself. I got a message from the lovely Carolyn at Shuffle Tarot, and she's like, can I have a postal address for you? And I was like, sure, but like, what are you up to? And then a few days later, she messaged me again saying, there's a parcel on its way for you. It should be with you in a couple of weeks. Well, it was with me in the space of about 3 or 4 days. That was very, very quick. I was like, the box arrived, and I was like, I gave it a little shake, and I'm like, this is Dex. I can feel this is Dex. What has she done? She's so naughty. So first of all, there was a lovely card in there, but I will keep that private because, you know, it's a private note, but it was like a little birthday card. But I wasn't sure if it was for my channel birthday, which was this week. My channel was full 9 years old on the 7th of January, or if it was for my me birthday, which is in a couple of weeks. So I don't know which one it's for, but I guess it could be for both, or because there's 2 decks, or it could be a deck for each. So the first thing that I opened, I was trying not to cry when I opened the box. It's the Tarot de Marseille by Tanya Teibtner, who is a German artist. Here we go, Teibtner. And this deck I saw this on Carolyn's Instagram. If you don't follow Carolyn, especially if you are a Marseille or Pip deck reader, what are you doing? Go check her out. I have learned so much about reading with Pip and Marseille from just following Carolyn's account and reading her amazing posts about, you know, how she shows her math as Tom Benjamin would call it. Like, she shows you how she got to that reading in her posts often, so you can see where her mind's going. And I think I've sort of taken that on board a lot of the time. If I'm sharing spreads that I've done, readings that I've done on my Instagram, I think that's where I'm getting that inspiration from, where I show my working, and I tend to sort of break it down, especially if I'm doing like Pip Marseille stuff and I'm sort of open reading. It's good to sort of it's good for me as a reader to sort of get it down on paper, out of my head, or onto onto a post in writing, essentially, whether that's digital or paper. Oftentimes I will actually also write them out in my journal. I did that with all of my tarot advent. I did that. The ones that I had typed up on my Instagram, I did transfer into my tarot journal. But yeah, it just helps me sort of go through that process, figuring out what a reading means to me. Anyway, and then other people can see it as well. Wow. Anyway, so this deck I saw on Carolyn's account, and I was like, whoa, that is so cool. And I looked it up, and it was still available. It wasn't like it's an indie deck. It's out of print, by the way, which is where this story comes in. But, you know, moolah, not always having the pennies to spend. And I remember Tanya had put out a announcement saying that the deck was going to be going out of print. She wasn't going to be reproducing it. And when that happened, I genuinely didn't have the funds to purchase one of the very last copies. And I mean, honestly, I was gutted because you snooze, you lose. I was really sort of kicking myself because I wish I'd actually just picked up a copy, you know, sooner. But again, there's always other things that I need to be buying or paying for, you know, when it comes to just bills and boring adult stuff. And I was like, oh well, maybe one day I will be able to find a copy for secondhand. And yeah, I just sort of was like, oh well, if it's not meant to be, but if it is, then it'll happen. And Tanya Teibtner has since done a more Smithwaite based deck, actually, and I was tempted by that because I thought, well, it'll scratch that itch, but actually I knew it was this one that I wanted. I do love her artwork. Do go check her out. I will put all the links in the description box, but I really love in the camera it looks this orange looks much more bold and sort of very bright, but actually the colours for this deck are more muted. it's more of a muted olive and a muted, I wouldn't say a burnt orange, but sort of working closer to that than the bright orange that's showing up on, at least on my phone screen. And it's just, you know, it's not a traditional Marseille, so technically it's a pip, not a Marseille, even though it is called Tarot de Marseille, because we're not getting the traditional layout, but still, there's so many fun characters in it. And I did a reading that evening with it, and it called me the fuck out. My God. If you want to see that reading, I'll try to remember to put a link to it, to my Instagram account, where I shared the photo of the reading and the my interpretation of it. I didn't give the context for what it was about, but I did sort of break the reading down to what it meant. I just kept it vague about the actual topic, if that makes sense, because it's poisonal, but my goodness, it just sort of really called me out. And I was like, okay, well, clearly I needed that. It's a chunky, sharp-edged, I love it. I love the backs. It's just yummo. I love it. I love the cardstock. I love it. I just know that we're gonna be friends, even though it's a little bit of it's that like straightforward, blunt friend that will just tell you like it is. I'm good with that. So that was the first deck that Carolyn had put in the box, and then the other one, again, a complete surprise, a complete surprise, and not expecting it at all. And it's another indie deck. This was a Kickstarter, and it's the Endless Oracle by Eric Maille or Malle. I want to, that's French, right? I don't know. So the Endless Oracle, it's based around, can I remember the name of the, there's a specific name, Myriorama inspired Oracle deck. And a Myriorama was a thing, like a deck of cards that was popular, I think, in the 17 and 1800s, so 18th and 19th century. So I'm trying to find it where it says Myriorama cards were mostly a novelty toy for children, popular all through the 19th century, so the 1800s. The word Myriorama first appeared when John Heaviside Clark designed a set of cards called Myriorama, a collection of many thousand landscapes, in 1824. It was presumably a combination of the words myriad and panorama. So what that means here is this deck is you can place the cards together to create panoramas, panoramic villages, bloody hell, images. And that puts me in mind, actually, of the suits in the Prismavisions tarot. Not Prismavisions, yeah, Prismavisions by Eads. So yeah, I'm just not sort of, this is a bit wonky, isn't it? But yeah, can you see they kind of designed to kind of match up, so you can create vistas with them, or you can read them separately, or as like almost like comic book panels. I've not done any sort of panoramic readings with this yet. I've just been, again, gone through the deck and just did my piles of cards, you know, looking at each card and sort of not overthinking it, just sort of making snap judgments about the gut feeling I get about each card. But there's a lot of stuff that's inspired by myths and legends, which is really nice. There's some gorgeous cards in here. So the tree, I quite like. There's another one, I really like this one, the giants, which makes me think of the TV show Hilda, which I really enjoy. The ones that basically, here we've got like the pomegranate, which obviously has links to Greek mythology. So yeah, it's just, I love these blues, these gorgeous inky, again, they're looking more bright in my phone screen, but in real life they're much more muted and in like lovely indigos and midnights and navies, and oh, it's scrumptious. Real inky blues, almost blue blacks. So yeah, I'm looking. This is another one that I really like, the Lighthouse. Love a lighthouse. This makes me think of Game of Thrones. It makes me think of King's Landing. Doggy. Of course I like this card. Yeah, the ones who came before. All these statues of deities, it seems. You've got some people down here for scale at how huge these statues are. Oh, that one's upside down. The waterfall. Really, really lovely. I'm interested to see how it works with other decks. So just, Carolyn, if you're watching, thank you so much. I don't really know what I've done to deserve such beautiful and generous gifts, but I'm hugely appreciative, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. But I was looking at these decks that I'd received, and I felt like some of them might work quite nicely together. So I started pulling card combos or combining. So I'm just going to show you one of them that I did yesterday. Okay, so I pulled 3 cards from the Unfolding Path, and then I pulled 3 cards from the Endless. Oh, what's that one? That's not meant to be there. It was these 3 cards, and then I pulled 3 cards from the Endless Oracle, just to see what they look like together. I think they work quite nicely together. The artwork is very inky here, very watercolory here. So we've got water as an element, liquid as an element in creating the artwork. And I thought it was quite interesting looking at how the themes and motifs of these cards sort of work with these cards. They sort of interact with one another. So the star, we think of, I think the keyword we think of a lot of the time, the one that jumps into our heads first is hope a lot of the time. And here underneath we've got the well, and one of the things that we do with fountains and wells is wishes. So wishing well is literally a thing in our world, a wishing well. And so it feels like hopes and wishes goes very nicely. We've got this water pouring out. Is this water that's been drawn up from this well, even, you know? Here we have the 10 of Pentacles. There's this idea of legacy and family and community and wealth and well-being and groundedness. And here we have the unicorn. And I feel like the unicorn works and interacts with this card in the sense that this sometimes is like seen as very unattainable. That unicorn thing that we're searching for is that, you know, the wealth and stability and the grounding and the health and the having it all, right? I feel like, let's move this around, sorry, just always fanning about the light, but it just keeps changing. Is that a bit better? You know, it can feel like chasing a unicorn, right? And then here we've got the 6 of Cups, the nostalgia card, as it is often called. We've got, I think this is a mother with a daughter or an aunt with a nibbling, and it's really quite tender and sweet. And here we have the mirror pool, because when you think about, you know, the word nostalgia, or when we're nostalgic about something and we are remembering things and we're reminiscing about things, it is a bit like looking into a mirror pool, because the reflection isn't quite accurate. We misremember things, we fill in extra details, we embellish, or we forget things, and so it's not a true reflection. It's a distorted one. But also sort of remembering, reminiscing, reflecting on the past is also sort of ties in with mirror. So I just thought that was a really interesting pull that came up. I was like, well, what do you know, cards, they are so uncanny. So that's the first one that I did, and then I'm just going to go and grab the next set of cards that I sort of pulled out. Okay, so then I pulled out the Teibtner, and I pulled 3 cards, and I felt like, I feel like this will work quite nicely with the Modern Goth Tarot, and I was right. It was interesting how it works. So I pulled the Magician, and then the Queen of Wands, and then the Two of Coins. And I was like, are you kidding me? When I say pull, I mean I shuffled the deck and these are the cards that came up. Like, I wasn't actively searching these cards out. I do feel like they kind of vibe together, but they look different, but they work, with these sort of oranges and greens tie into this. And so the King of Pentacles, that groundedness, that having that material to work with, and then you've got the Magician who has those skills to take those materials and that discipline and create something. We have the Sun, it's bright, it's vibrant, it's hot, and we have the Queen of Wands, and you know, we've got this here which almost like mirrors the sun in the card, and just being, I just feel like she's got to be careful that this doesn't catch on fire, but I can really feel this heat and this burning and this passion between the Sun and the Queen of Wands. And then there's Temperance and like the Two of Coins, which they're talking about this, like this balancing and this flow, this to and fro. I just thought it was really, really fun how they sort of popped up like this together. So I'm like, yeah, I think these might play quite nicely together. I'm quite enjoying doing you know, combining tarot where one section of the reading is one deck and then another section of the reading is another, or just asking the same question and then laying 3 with one deck and 3 with another, and they sort of seeing how they interplay, because they kind of are answering the question in similar ways but they give different nuance, which I think is really interesting. So there's that. And then what was the other one that I pulled? Oh, that was it. There was a reading, a spread rather, in the book for the new Gothic, the modern Gothic tarot. Where is it? Which I quite liked. It's a 6 card. Here we go. The Cunning Path spread. So I did this one. I did this in a break during my Call of Cthulhu game last night. We took a 15-minute break, comfort break, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do a quick reading with this spread. So the first card is, so these are the cards that came up. So the first card is one that represents your current path or position, and we got a Judgment. So there's like this new beginning, this wake up. I just love the ghosts. Can you see the little like faces on the ghosts? So good. Look at the hands clawing out. None of this like coming out of coffins, like literally clawing out of the ground, vampire style. Love it. The next one was card 2 warns of a possible blockage or trouble. We have the Ace of Coins, which feels like it could be sort of warning to the path ahead actually just being really, really slow, and you're literally starting something from scratch. It's right from the beginning, and you know, it could feel a bit slow going to begin with. Card 3 suggests the knowledge that you need to progress, and the High Priestess came up, which feels very much like you're going to have to rely, trust your intuition, right? Looking inwards, not worrying so much about asking other people for advice. You know, really trusting your gut on this. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit because these cards are not going to fit otherwise, so just going to do that. Okay, I think that's going to work. You have to excuse the mess of stuff around. Card 4 tells you what you need to do for success. So we got the Tower card, which feels very much like having to really shake things up and break things down in order to rebuild them. Again, this feels a bit like it ties in with the Ace of Pentacles and that sort of starting from scratch, but you've really got to like do it like breaking boundaries and doing something new and rebuilding. The 5th card was shows where you should place your focus. And I got the 9 of Swords here. By the way, this wasn't a reading I was doing for myself. It was just like a reading that I was just doing for an imaginary person. I was just doing a practice reading. I just wanted to try the spread out. The 9 of Swords, the Anxiety card, the Nightmare card. It feels like maybe you need to focus on sort of overcoming sort of this catastrophizing and ruminating on the worst case scenario, like breaking this down. And then the card 6 is where you should show restraint, and we have the 7 of Cups, which feels very much like avoiding sort of trying to do too many things at once, or trying to have it all. Like, you're going to have to build, you're going to have to break everything down and start from scratch, but you need to pick like a single thing. Not, you can't do all the things. What's that saying? You can't do everything, but you can do anything, which I don't know is technically true, because that doesn't take into account systemic you know, structures that sort of, oops, sorry, I just knocked the thing, that like does sort of limit people in certain ways. But you get the thing, like you need to pick like one thing and see, follow that through and see where it goes. And if you're trusting your intuition and ignoring your anxieties about, you know, then you should hopefully be making the right choices. Anyway, I just thought that was a really fun and interesting spread that I can see myself using. It has a 1-card spread and a 3-card spread, and then there's a 9-card box spread, but they go about it differently, which is like a row for different sphere of life. So you've got like love, life and work, which might be a fun way to approach the 9-card box spread. I have my own way of doing it, but yeah, I just thought those were really fun. And then I've got, like I said at the beginning of the video, the cards, the decks that I've been using for my solar return spread last year. So I was using the Weaver's Oracle and the Animal Spirit Oracle, and then these 3 tarot decks for different parts of my solar return spread. Again, I'll try to remember to like post a video about it. I just wanted to see how some of these decks played with each other. So yeah, this is a little playing with pairs bonus time. Try and keep it short. Let's move this. We've got the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot, the Tarot of Prague, and the Tarot Key by Mr. Freeborg. So I'm just going to like just lay out some cards. I feel like actually the Gothic Tarot, the new Goth Tarot, might work because it has this like creamy background as well. Ooh, yeah, let's see. So there's like these purples, some greens, and the blues. That could actually work quite nicely. Oh yeah, I quite like that. So we've got some golden. Let's put like a golden. It's a slightly different yellow, but very different vibes. But I feel like they could talk to each other. They could have a conversation. They can hang out. So that's one. I'm doing this very quickly because I'm aware that this video is getting very long. Let's look at the Tarot Key. Tarot Key by Mr. Freeborg. Another pip deck. Gorgeous deck. Just lay a few cards out. I feel like, what do you reckon? The Unfolding Path, maybe? Because it's got those like white backgrounds and some of the pinky. Oh, yeah, that could work. Again, let's see what we've got. Some of the cards. I feel like they could talk to each other as well. That's interesting. Oh, I love it when you can like... yeah, that could be fun. That could be a fun little conversation. Okay, so there's that one. Let's see, Tarot of Prague. Would it work? Would any of these work with the Teibtner Tarot? Let's see. Let's get this book out of the way. This is by Bubba Studios. Oh, the bright colours. I love the bright colours in this card. Yeah, let's see. The Teibtner, if this works. I don't know if it will, but it's worth having a go. Could work. Oh, it's upside down. Let's try. Again, very different styles, but possibly work. Like, look at the colours, right? Oh, that was so fortunate. That's so fortuitous. Each one of those decks I just have out happened to, like, I feel, what do you reckon? Do you think they work? I think they work. That's fun. I think it's all these like reds and oranges. And then you've got these like greens, right? I don't know, I think they work. Okay, so we're at like pretty much 50 minutes. We're knocking on an hour. This is getting very long, so I'm gonna cut it there, I think. But I'm really excited to. Oh, I didn't do any with this guy. Do you know what though? I find, well, if it's anything like the other Wild Unknown decks, they go with a lot of other decks, Tarot, Oracle, Lenormand. They just seem to vibe with a lot of other decks. So I think that this is probably going to vibe with all the other decks that my archetypes and Animal Spirit and Wild Unknown vibe with. So not too concerned about not having tried any with this one at the moment. So yeah. What do you think? Which of these decks tickles your fancy? Do you own any of these decks? Do you work with any of these decks? Or do you have them and you don't work with them? You just not got around to it, or you don't jive with them? Yeah, what do you think of the combos? Do you have any combination suggestions that you work with any of these decks? Let me know, I'm interested. Comments down below. So yeah, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch and or listen to me ramble. I hope that wherever you are safe and you are well, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.